what are the exceptions of calling the Gentile cops on a Jew, i.e. murders? Oh, what are the exceptions? Okay, so when are you allowed to call the police on Jewish people? Yeah, because traditionally you're not allowed to call the police on or the government in general on Jewish people. That would be a sin of being a rodef. So if, let's say, for example, you don't like your friend, and you decide to call the cops on him so they can torture him, forbidden. It's an Isur Torah. A person will be put on cherem, and a lot of huge punishment for somebody that's a rodef, and also someone who calls the authorities. It's an extraordinary sin in the Torah. Second thing is also, let's say some people are wicked. They call the authorities like the IRS or the some type of authority on their competitors in business, even though their competitor is a fellow Jew. They call the IRS. Oh, listen, I think this guy is cheating on his taxes, or I think this guy is doing this, doing that. These are all sins. You're not allowed to call authorities on your fellow Jews unless that person is a threat to society, meaning murder, pedophilia, rape, things of that nature. If that person is a threat to society, then you will be doing a service to society by going to the authorities. And we learned this from the Gemara that has a story of Rabbi Elazar ben Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Elazar ben Rabbi Shimon, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Rabbi Elazar was, in essence, a person that would take the thieves and all of the other criminals to the authorities. And one of the losers, I can say, of the community hated Rabbi Elazar ben Rabbi Shimon, even though he was a tzaddik. He hated him because he went to the authorities of the goyim, and the goyim would either incarcerate or kill these wicked Jews. He said, "You are like vinegar, while your father, the tzaddik, is wine." Even though he was really wine himself, he was really tzaddik himself. So this got to the heart of Rabbi Elazar ben Rabbi Shimon, and he did some cheshbon nefesh, he did some self-accounting. He said, "Am I really doing the wrong thing or the right thing by bringing Jews to the authorities, even though they're wicked? They're a threat to the public. So how could I know? How do I know if I've sanctified myself?" So the Gemara in Masechet Bava Metzia says that Rabbi Elazar, he was a very, very big man, so big that him and another tzaddik, when they would put their stomachs against each other, a bull was able to walk under them. That's how huge they were. They were very, very big, but he was an extraordinary Talmid Chacham. And part of the reason he was so big is because his own father, Rabbi Shimon, fed him a lot of food because he knew how much power he had and how he was using it for the sake of Torah. He would literally eat a lot more than a typical person, but then he would learn for 2-3 days straight without break. So it was a big tzaddik, and he would use this food and this strength that he got from the food for the sake of Torah. But anyway, one time he asked the Chachamim to do a surgery on him, what we would call today a liposuction. And he told them to take out some fat from his body, and so because he needed it to find out. So the Gemara says the whole details over there, talks about how they put him on a granite table, which today we know that's what they use because it doesn't have the germs and so on. And they gave him a sam, they gave him a certain drug that was the original anesthesia. They put him in sleep, and then they took out 3 buckets of fat from his body, which if you go to a liposuction doctor or a specialist, would tell you it's not possible with today's technology. It's not possible, meaning that Rabbi Elazar ben Rabbi Shimon and the sages of 2,000 years ago had better technology than it's available today. Anyway, they took out 3 buckets of fat from his body, and after he came back, he took those 3 buckets. And he put them on top of the roof. In a obviously hot weather, And of course, if you take a piece of steak, you put it on top of your roof here in Florida or in Texas or any other warm climate, within a matter of seconds, there's bugs on it. Within a matter of hours, you're going to already have worms, and in a matter of shortly after, some maggots too. So he wanted to see, had he sanctified his body from the Torah that he was learning and exercising, including taking these wicked thieves and murderers and so on to the Goyim authority, did he ruin himself, his sanctity, his holiness, or was he still holy? How is he going to know? To see if the bugs would attract to his body, because if he's a complete tzaddik, the bugs, maggots, nothing can't touch his body. They run away from it. It's too holy for them. So he took 3 buckets of fat with the blood, with everything on it, put it on a roof, came back at a later time, which I believe, from my memory, may have been maybe like a week or 2 later, like a long, long time after, which any normal situation, even with or without tzadikut, would be full of maggots already by then. He came back a while later, nothing, not even a single fly on it. Not even a single fly on it, meaning that he sanctified himself so much that not only was his neshama holy, his body was holy, including this act of protecting the public by taking these wicked people to the authorities. So again, if these criminals are hurting society, murder, rape, pedophilia, stealing, things of that nature, you have a permission to go to the authorities, and in fact, you have to go to the authorities, because if you don't, the blood that they spill is on you. There's blood that they spill on you. So if you know somebody is a pedophile, if you know somebody is a rapist, if you know somebody is a murderer and the like, and you know it, and you don't go to the authorities, the next victim that they do that to, that sin is going to be on you, because you had the ability to stop it. So it's important to never ever stay quiet. There's unfortunately a bad instructions or leadership in some communities, that Jewish communities, where they try to keep everything hush hush inside the community. Now, I'm not in total disagreement with keeping everything within the community. To go anything major, go to the rabbis, go to the Bedin, have them deal with it, and that's fine. As long as the rabbis can deal with it, that's great. The problem is that many times, not only do they not deal with it, they actually enable these pedophiles to continue raping kids in Jewish communities for years. For years. These rabbis, these religious figures, these average guys that live in a community literally pick off little kids in a community and molest them for years. And no one says a thing in some cases. That's 100% a sin on the leaders of those communities that knew it and did not say anything. If they didn't know, then they should work a little bit harder on being a leader. But if they knew and they stayed quiet, that crime is 100% on them. 100% on them, and they're going to get punished for it severely. There are, unfortunately, many kids that have, throughout history, that have gotten hurt in both Jewish and non-Jewish communities. It's not just a Jewish thing. It's obviously non-Jewish that do it, and through our research for the Wasting Seed Tikkun Abrit movie, I watched some videos of criminals that were pedophiles. This one criminal that was a coach in a high school, he admitted himself to having over 1,200 victims. 1,200 victims. He literally said he would get 5 new kids per week. 5 new kids per week he would pick off the public school, kids that would come to his gym class, his team, this, that, for years, for 20 years. He had over 1,200 victims. Hashem Yishmor v'Yatzil. Another Satan, demon guy had over 300 victims. 300 kids. He said, the woman asked him, how do you get so many? Where? He goes, I just pick them off. I go to the playground. I go to the gym. They come to my class. I go this. I give them some candy. I act nice to them. He said, one case, Mamash, I couldn't sleep for days. Now I'm thinking about I'm probably not going to be able to sleep again. This guy said he would go to toy stores. And he would see that the kid is just in by himself in a toy store. And he'd say, kid, you like that toy? And the kid would say, yeah. He said, I'll buy you that toy. And he would buy the kid the toy, take the kid and the toy out the store. And do whatever he wanted, and then throw him back in the store after he finished with him. I mean, these sociopaths, these pedophiles are the furthest from normal. If anybody knows of such a person and does not go to the police and does not publicize this all over the place, they are a pedophile themselves. They are a criminal themselves, and that's how they're going to be judged in Shamayim. That's how they're going to be judged in Shamayim. So, you have in your hands information that about a person, and you know that this person is a danger to society, and you keep it to yourself, you are a murderer. The blood is going to be on your hands. And unfortunately, Rabotai, I can tell you from knowledge, that these child molesters, these pedophiles, they're everywhere. They're in the Jewish neighborhoods, they're in the non-Jewish neighborhoods, and usually they look nice, they look friendly. I remember we had, when I grew up, there was this one guy, this one piece of garbage guy. He was, he looked like a kid. But he was like 35 years old. But he had like one of those childish faces. Looked like a kid. His name was Chris. And he looked like a kid. And he was a short guy. But he was 35 years old. He was older than everybody. He would hang out with 12, 13, 14-year-olds. Run around with them and everything. And everyone thought, what's up with this guy? Oh, I don't know. He's really nice. He's really fun. And he pretended to be a sidekick or something like that. That guy, later we found out, that guy was not only homosexual, he was a pedophile. That guy. So, and he was roaming around the neighborhood, and all the parents would invite him to the house. Oh yeah, it's so nice that you have an adult playing with the kids. It's so nice of him. He didn't even live in the neighborhood. He would come literally to our neighborhood, and he would literally look for whoever he can do, whatever he could do with. Guy was a pedophile. We found out later on. So these pieces of garbage exist everywhere. If you don't watch your kids, you are responsible. Even more so if you know your friend, family member, neighbor, your parent, your husband, whoever is one of those people, and you do not go to the police and get this person arrested. You don't go to get this person under control. You don't publicize this all over the world and warn everybody that this person is a predator. All of the crimes they make is on you. All of it. Why? Because you knew. So there's no permission whatsoever to keep this stuff a secret, and the communities that keep it a secret are literally killing the kids of that community. And that's unfortunately why we have many kids that grow up and they become disassociated from the community. They hate it with a passion, and no one knows why. It's like, wow, you grew up religious, you were the best in class, all of a sudden you don't like Hashem, you don't like Chumash, you don't like nothing, and tell you, no, listen, I like Hashem, I just don't like the religious people. Why? Why don't you like? I don't want to talk about it. I had bad experience. What bad experience? And only after you get to know the person, or the person just can't hold it in anymore, do they tell you the traumatizing experience they had with a neighbor, with an uncle, with a rabbi, with whatever. Sometimes it's women. There was this wicked woman in Australia that molested like 80 girls, and before she got arrested, or maybe more even. Point is, it's both men and women. It's sick society, and this is actually one of the byproducts of pornography. That's what happens when people watch pornography, but that's a different story altogether. Point is, if you know people that are this way, you have to report it. But not just report it to your mommy and daddy, not just report it to your best friend. You have to go to the authorities, but you have to make sure that you know. And it's not just like, oh, he looks gay, so therefore he must be a child molester. Although he's a sinner for being gay, it doesn't necessarily by default make him a child molester. Even though child molesters are typically gay. They don't really care about what's in front of them. But not all gay people are child molesters. The same thing goes with he's a non-Jewish. Not all non-Jews are child molesters. Some of them are very nice people and far away from being child molesters. And not all religious people and rabbis are child molesters. So you have to understand, you have to know, you have to have some knowledge. Now, I'm not saying you have to like literally see the guy in action, but you have to have indisputable evidence that this is it. You have pictures, you have, the guy said it. There's knowledge. Knowledge that this is the case. Even if he acts weird with certain comments that he makes, you have to still at least keep an eye on that person and make sure to keep some type of monitoring of what's going on. And don't be closed-minded if anybody comes to you with new information. But either way, point is, if a person is a danger to society, whether that society, the Jewish community, or otherwise, you still have to report it to the authorities. That's why the Mishnah in Avot says that part of what a Jew needs to do is also pray for the stability of the kinghood of whatever country they live in. Not that you have to spend half your day listening to politics or admiring politicians, but rather you just need to pray for the stability of the kinghood of where you live, because if it wasn't for the authorities, if it wasn't for the police and the army and so on, in each country, the people would kill each other in the streets. So it's even having the authority that's run by non-Jews that are sometimes very unethical people, or Jews that are unethical people, still is better than not having it at all. Because you see certain countries, like some places in Africa and other places, that literally do not have any authority, or the authority is afraid of the people. It's mayhem over there. You can't survive a day without seeing 1 or 2 or 3 or 80 crimes. Let me know what you think, and make sure to share it, because other people need to learn too.